LG has granted the prosecution sanction under Section 196 of the CRPC, which is punishable with imprisonment for life or up to 2 years or upwards. Priyank Tripathi back with us. Priyank, so it's very, very relevant. It is punishable with imprisonment for life or up to 2 years and onwards if proven guilty. The army had categorically said that the allegations made by Shehla Rashid were absolutely false. In her tweet, Shehla Rashid had also said that the army officials had put a mic when the interrogation was going on, wanting the entire village to also hear the screams of the people. This was the claim that she had made in her tweet.
Yeah, and she was here in Delhi, I think, at that particular time period, and this particular tweet was sent alleging that the Indian Army has been indulging in atrocities against Kashmiri people. This was a time when the country was going through a very bad phase, when the terrorism was at its peak. There were many civilians who were being also gunned down by these terrorists, and to have these, anti-terrorist operations, the army officials and the teams were camping in different portions of Srinagar, and there were many CASO operations which were lodged after the terror attack which was happening. The CASO, the coordinated search operation by the Indian Army, was one of the important factors because of which the armed forces have gunned down multiple terrorists who were not only, local LT but also FT, which was foreign terrorists. So that was the time when these tweets trying to trigger this kind of disharmony in between people was very much taken seriously by the Indian agencies, although that was a time period when the JNU students were coming out on streets and they were protesting, so their voice was heard at every place. And she, holding such a important position and being such a prominent face, trying to indulge in this kind of insensitive, or I would say a tweet which could have triggered more violence on the streets of Jammu and Kashmir, was taken very seriously. These factors were highlighted on social media. The tweet went viral on social media within few seconds after the tweet came out, and later to that, one of the advocate, Alok Ranjanda Srivastava, who is a Delhi-based Supreme Court lawyer, had also taken cognizance of it, and he filed a complaint to the Delhi police on the 8th month of 2019, following to which a case was registered by the Delhi police, and they started investigating the case, that whether it was Shehla Rashid who had also sent the tweet or not. Shehla gave her response. She appeared before the investigating agency, and in a written reply, she had given her justification that whether this tweet was sent from her Twitter account. Now, there were multiple questions which were asked to her, that whether the same device which she was using was used for sending the tweet. A reply from the social networking side was also asked. So during the course of investigation, Pratibha, multiple things came into picture which was showing her indulgence in and her involvement in sending this particular tweet, because the agencies were working on every minute detail of this internet-based propaganda material which was posted on social media platform. And then a recommendation letter was sent to the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, and now Mr. Vinai Saxena has granted prosecution to the Delhi police for this section of 153A, which is trying to promote animosity in between two religious groups. This prosecution sanction will be a big trouble for Shehla Rashid, knowing the fact that the statement which she has made against forces can, be a big trouble for her in the due course of time when the matter will go for the trial.
Absolutely. Priyanka, and the response that had come in from the army as well, it's important to note the army had also made it clear that such unverified and fake news are spread by inimical elements and organizations to incite unsuspecting population, because the situation in Jammu and Kashmir being so sensitive, it's also important the kind of consequences that such a tweet could have. Stay on, Bitav. All right, go ahead, Priyank. So this was the response that had come in from the army as well, saying that the situation is sensitive. Such videos or such claims being made by any Twitter handles could have an impact in the population there, and that's the kind of consequence that it can have. So the army as well stepping in and warning Shehla Rashid and others not to make such false claims.
Yes, Pratibha. We have minute details of the file notings which has been in between communication in between the Delhi police as well as the Lieutenant Governor of the National Capital. Going by what has been mentioned in this file noting. I would like to point out about these things that the armed forces, the pointers which we were also highlighting, that this tweet was stating, which was sent by Shehla Rashid on 18, that armed forces are entering houses at night, picking up boys, ransacking houses deliberately, spilling ration on the floor and mixing oil and rice. So that was a tweet which was sent on 12 noon on 18. And this was regarding Shopia, that 4 men had called by the army camp. They were interrogated and tortured, which was in, bracket. A mic was also kept enclosed. So all these details was shared. During the course of, analyzing that whether there is a reason to give sanction to the Delhi police.
Okay, all right. Stay with us, Priyank. Just want to get in a reaction from Mr. Majid Memon as well, who's joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Majid Memon, now the Delhi LG has given his assent for sanctions against Shehla Rashid for the kind of tweets that she had put up, and the charge against her is that the tweets were aimed at promoting enmity between different groups.
Well, I think it is a bit disturbing that the tweets that have been written way back about 2 to 3 years ago are being dug out now, and somebody is being subjected to a fresh prosecution. I think
yes, but it's not being dug out now, Mr. Majid Memon. The investigation or probe into the tweets were already ongoing.
No, but how long it has taken? It has taken more than 3 years. You see, ongoing investigation in a matter of tweet must not take more than a week. It should take years. And after years, you consider that yes, a criminal offense is made out, and therefore cognizance has to be taken. This only suggests, or that creates a kind of apprehension in the minds of civil society that probably this is being done not on the merits, but probably on certain push from some quarters, which may be either vindictive or maybe for other considerations, but certainly more than legal concerns.
Okay, but how can you say it's vindictive? Because in her tweets, she had raised questions on the armed forces, and it was not a political party, but it was the armed forces that issued a clarification saying that the claims that she is making is absolutely false.
No, but if somebody makes such a serious accusation against the armed forces, which is violative of the national interest, then why should it take 3 years? It could have been done in a fortnight's time. She should have been immediately FIR should have been there. What is the explanation for such a long delay? Investigation is ongoing till infinity. This is something ridiculous. How does the investigating agency explain the length of time that is lost? I would speak on behalf of the prosecution, not on behalf of the maker of the tweet. I would say, why has it taken so long? Such persons should have been brought to book immediately.
Okay.
If you are saying that the gravity of the crime is affecting national interest, affecting our Jawahar, then why have you taken 3 years?
Okay.
Please answer that.
All right. So you're saying the investigative agency should answer why there has been a delay. This was a tweet that was tweeted by her on the 18th of August in 2019. So why is it that the investigative agencies are only bringing her to book now? That's a question that Mr. Majid Memon is raising. Thank you for joining us. Priyanka, but, as we've been discussing, this is an ongoing probe that is going on. The investigations in the case are already going on. Shehla Rashid has also been questioned in the case. But now what's crucial is that the Delhi LG has given his assent for the prosecution sanctions, and it is punishable by death or jail. Minimum punishment for this being jail for 2 years.
See, the irony is that, Pratibha, that when there is a swift action and very, fast prosecution which is being granted against the lobby, certainly questions are being raised that why is it so that the government is so much in a hurry to give sanction. And once all the due diligence has been done, all these file notings have been checked, all the investigation details have been checked. We just heard one of our guests also, trying to talk about that why there has been so much of time which has been taken by the LG's office to give sanction. But no one is talking about that what was the conduct of Shehla Rashid. This clearly proves the point that before the court can actually decide that there have been a very deliberate attempt by her to make this kind of statement on social media, and when the trial can begin in this case, the due diligence which has been done by the LG's office clearly point out that the investigation done by the Delhi Police Special Cell has pointed out that all these electronic evidences, all these electronic, monitoring, which was done after taking a response from the social media platform, the microblogging website detail, are clearly pointing out that there was these tweets were sent by Shehla Rashid only, although she kept on denying that it was not from her side. And that is the point which need to be highlighted as per this moment. We know that several statements will come out which will try to, question the credibility of the agencies. But we are talking about the conduct of an individual. We are talking about the conduct of an Indian national. We are talking about the conduct of a student leader who was seen as a role idol and icon by many of these students in the country. What has she done? Why she tweeted something like this, which could have certainly vitiated the atmosphere? Why she did not take a very normal position and checked it from the ground? She is from Kashmir. She would have checked it that whether something like this is happening or not. So the Indian Army came on denial. Then the investigation was done by the Delhi Police Special Cell, and after doing the due diligence, the LG's office has granted permission. Now it's up to the court, Pratibha, that whether during the trial the court can also found her guilty or not. But so far what it appears, after looking at the documented fact which has been produced before the LG office by the Delhi Police Special Cell, the sanction of the prosecution under CRPC section 193 for this case of 153A has been granted against Shehla Rashid.
Right, we also have Shora with us. Priyank, please do stay on with us. Shora, on grounds on which that we are told that the Delhi LG has granted prosecution sanction against Shehla Rashid. Atul Anjanji is also with us right now. Atul Anjanji, what do you have to say on the Delhi LG's action there as far as we talk about Shehla Rashid and her very controversial tweets about the Indian Army that she's made in the past?
At the very outset, I just want to say that we should avoid to make comments on the Indian Army. And in the rarest cases, we can make the statement. In general, we should not make the statement because it can be used by many forces which is not very friendly to India. At the other hand, all these social activists and all that, they should be reminded and they should take it in their note that such type of statements may, give them some publicity or something, but it is not going to help them in the longer period. And whose support they are making such type of statement, they are not also benefited out of that. On the third point, I don't understand this LG of Delhi. This case is of 2019, and you are registering a case in 2022 or making any, procedures against the person. So this shows this whole system. It is true, once again it has been true, that if you want to make somebody responsible for their utterances, it takes 2-3 years. What sort of system you are running? What sort of mechanism you are having? What sort of the prosecution system you are having? And it is all shows that it is a vindictive attitude. Otherwise, nobody can stand in the eyes of the IPC and CRPC after so long you are registering a case.
All right, Mr. Anjan, thank you very much for your point of view. So the timing here is something that is being questioned.